400 hours and found 12 theories that would explain everything. For example, there is this wild theory about Laugh-Tale, Devil Fruits, and Shanks that not many people talk about. Did you ever notice that 2 of the people on Roger's ship got really sick when they were approaching Laugh-Tale? You probably did, and it's easy to dismiss this as a coincidence, but I don't think it was. You see, the only 2 people that got sick and didn't make it to Laugh-Tale were Buggy and Toki, and they were the only 2 confirmed people with Devil Fruit powers on the ship. So, is it possible that Devil Fruit users get sick as soon as they get close to Laugh-Tale? Well, I think this theory actually makes sense, and there is one more important thing that is hinting towards it. In chapter 1054, Shanks tells Ben that it's finally time they go and claim One Piece. Now, the interesting thing about red-haired pirates is that none of them are confirmed Devil Fruit users. Shanks may already know that Devil Fruit users can't go to Laugh-Tale, and therefore forbade anyone in his crew to eat one. This would also make red-haired pirates the only pirate crew able to get the One Piece. At the end of each theory, I'll also speculate how probable it is to be true, and for this one, I'll give the score of 6 out of 10. This is only the first out of 12 theories I am covering today, and the last one is the most insane theory I've ever heard. So, you all know about the 5 elders.
Okay, let's touch on that real quick. I get it, like, I get what he's saying. It makes sense, like, that there's a reason why they got sick besides Oda just needed to create a reason so that way that Shanks and Buggy didn't get there, right? Because that would kind of ruin a lot of shit, right? But Luffy has a Devil Fruit. There's no fucking way Oda is not gonna let Luffy not go to Laugh-Tale. And then also half of Luffy's crew wouldn't be able to go. So who's going to go to Laugh-Tale? Zoro, Nami, Usopp, and Sanji? And I guess Frankie? And Jinbei now? So, I mean, it's a good port, but, like, no Nico Robin, which she needs to be there. We know that she's going to have to, like, decipher some Poneglyph shit, right? If it's a good idea if it didn't have to, like, if Luffy didn't have to be the one to get there, and Robin too, I would say, to an extent. If Chopper didn't make it, not such a big deal. Brook didn't make it, not such a big deal, right? Like, and I don't mean don't make it as in died. I mean, like, they didn't actually get to go for some reason. But I'm pretty sure you're going to need Nico Robin to be there. And I'm pretty damn 100% sure you're going to need Luffy to be there. Unless you could pull this and then say, oh, Luffy's thing overpowers it, right? Or maybe Haki overpowers it. Maybe that's what you need more than you need that. Then, of course, you would also lose some Straw Hats maybe from that, too. So, I don't know. But I kind of like where he's going. I just don't think the likelihood. He rated it 6 out of 10. Like, it's like a 2 out of 10 at best. I would even lean towards maybe like 1 out of 10. Because, like, Luffy has to be there. And if you're saying you can't make it if you have a Devil Fruit. Plus, let's be real. In One Piece world, how many people, and also did not Roger he would tell Whitebeard how to get there? If he knew he couldn't get there, what would it be, you know? And so, like, the chances that, like, maybe Shanks' crew doesn't, but, like, Luffy found people that, like, they weren't with him all the time. So, like, who's to say Shanks would have turned down somebody that had a Devil Fruit just because of this one reason? You know? Or the chances that nobody in Roger's crew had a Devil Fruit? Come on. Like, we know in One Piece, like, we know now, like, there's regular strong fighters, there's Devil Fruits, and then there's, like, Haki, Conqueror's Haki, right? That make everything go more. So, like, if you had fucking, like, there's no way Roger didn't have people that had Devil Fruit besides Buggy. Like, there's just no way. Like, I can't imagine that. It doesn't seem, and it doesn't kind of seem likely for Shanks too. Like, we've yet to meet a strong crew. Most of the captains had Devil Fruit, but, like, we haven't met one that didn't have, like, some people with Devil Fruits. Like, I mean, look, Big Mom, and of course, like, they wouldn't necessarily know. Like, almost every kid of Big Mom's has a Devil Fruit. Kaido gave all his crew devil fruits, even if they were fake ones, or smiles, or whatever you want to call them. Artificial. So, having devil fruits is clearly a game changer, so I don't see that being the case. Unlikely theory, in my opinion. Interesting, a very interesting theory, and I do agree with this guy that there probably maybe will be an explanation why they got sick, but I don't think it's going to have anything to do with devil fruits.
But do you know how old they are? What if I tell you that they may just be immortal? Okay, let me explain. Not much is known about the Gorosei, but one main thing supporting this theory is that they looked exactly the same 20 years ago in Ohara flashback. The one way they could achieve this is through Oppa Oppa no Mi and its ability to grant immortality. Other than that, there is not much backing this theory, and knowing that looks in the anime can sometimes be deceiving,
I think I've heard this theory before. I think a lot of it I've heard is going to be Eam that has it, which I think's more highly likely. But I don't see this as being
high
impossible.
probability of being true. Okay, so what exactly is One Piece?
Why is that only a 3? To me, that's more likely to be possible than the last one. Like, maybe it's not that interesting as the last one, but like likely, I'd say that's a likely. That's at least a 5. You know? What did he say? It was 3? So I see that one as more likely. Maybe not as interesting, but more likely. But I would say like just Eam though, I would say is even more likely than all the Gurusei. Because there seems like there would be something that would separate him from them, so I don't know.
Well, there is this one theory that would actually make a lot of sense. So, in my opinion, the One Piece is some kind of object, which was confirmed by Oda himself, by the way, that would allow Luffy to destroy the Red Line. Alright, but why would the Straw Hats want to do this? Well, this actually ties in perfectly with their original dreams. Luffy wants to be the king of pirates and the freest person in the world. If the Red Line is destroyed, he'd be able to travel wherever he wants and would bring all people closer together. Nami wants to make a map of the entire world, which would definitely be much easier if this big line weren't separating it in half. Sanji wants to find the all blue, all 4 seas together, which is exactly what would happen if Red Line is destroyed. And finally, Brook wants to fulfill his promise and reunite with Laboon. And since the crew is now in the new world, Laboon is right behind the Red Line. The last thing supporting this is Madame Shirley's prediction that Luffy will destroy the Fishman Island, which would also come true since it's located right under the Red Line. I have to give this theory 8 out of 10 points, since in my opinion, it has a good chance of actually happening. Marshall D. Teach or...
Okay. I've heard this theory a lot. A lot of people do think that's going to be the ultimate goal, is destroying the Red Line. And like, there are a lot of hints at this, and I don't think that it's absurd. It sounds crazy as fuck on paper, but like, and I do agree that it's going to be something tangible. Maybe it's going to be like a special devil fruit, or it's going to be like another like ancient weapon, or like, you know, that they didn't know about, like a final one that like needs to combine all the others together. Like, because we know that like Shirahoshi is an ancient weapon herself, and you know what I'm saying. So like, there could be another one that's a person, we don't really know. I definitely being an object, sure. I don't think it's just going to be a treasure, like. And then of course everybody's like One Piece, like put it back together. That's not a crazy theory. And then, like what he said, like, so this one is actually pretty high. Like, I think, did he give it an 8 out of 10? That's definitely possible. I know the first time I heard it, it was like, oh, that sounds stupid as fuck, right? But then I'm like, oh, it could make sense. Because there's a lot of stuff associated. Like, if you destroy that, you would topple the, the Celestial Dragons, they live there. It's where Marijoa is. Then we also learned, like, though, that, like, the ancient, whatever, I can't think what they're called, but, like, what King's race was, they were supposed to live up there too. So did they create it? Was it all a natural phenomenon? Was it something they wanted to do a long time ago, and that's why they didn't want to do it, you know? And that's why they fought back, because they thought they would lose control and power. I can see a lot of that happening even back then. Like, even like the old kings are like, oh, we make the world too open. You know, that's what a lot of people say now, like the government does and stuff like that. So it's not impossible. So like, I do like that one. It's interesting. It has gained a lot more traction, because I think I heard of this like a few years ago. So it's been kind of, I think it's one of the top most, not common, but one of the ones that a lot of people will get behind. So I don't necessarily have a problem with that one. So I would give that a similar rating of being possible.
Blackbeard is one of the weirdest characters in the entire story. Besides his appearance and enormous love for cherry pies, there is something else really weird about him. I believe that Blackbeard has multiple personalities, 3 to be exact. There are a few crucial moments that prove this. When he first met Luffy while eating pies in the restaurant, he seemed really childish, competing with Luffy, who can order more food and generally had a comedic vibe. However, only a few moments later, when he met Luffy again outside of the restaurant, he seemed much more calm and mature. He gave Luffy a speech about dreams and wished him luck in finding the Sky Island. After this conversation, Luffy and Zoro would both comment that Blackbeard is not he, but they. Another huge fact supporting this theory is that Teach is the only character who can wield the powers of 2 devil fruits without dying. A few additional details are that Blackbeard's flag has 3 heads, he has 3 pistols around his belt, and his beard is split into 3 parts. Alright, the next theory states that you will subscribe to this channel in the next 5 seconds, and it has a 10 out of 10 probability of happening. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thanks, let's move on. Are you ready for an insane...
Okay. That's not a crazy one. Like, I could see that, because there does seem like there's going to be some sort of reason. I think this is kind of like a split off of the one I've heard before, where he has the Cerberus fruit. But there's also one, like, where they think maybe, like, if you heard of Chimera syndrome, where, like he absorbed, like, a fetus, like where you have 2 different DNAs in you, and that is why Blackbeard can have eat more than 1 devil fruit. So there's a lot of these that aren't necessarily insane. Like, I don't think they're plausible. I don't think one of his reasonings was good. I think that translation about it's not he, it's they or them, I think it means that Zoro and Luffy knew that the rest of Blackbeard's crew was there. Because we see a few minutes later, we see Jesus Burgess and some of the other members. So I think that's what they referred to as they or them. Not as in Blackbeard was multiple people. I think that's what that they, them referred to. That's what I think. Makes sense to me without even having to get too wild. But the other parts, there's something with Blackbeard's body, right? Or there's been mentions of that. He is weird. There's different things, right? So it could be the devil fruit, like the Cerberus. It could be multiple personalities. It could be, like I said, like the Chimera. What's a Chimera thing could also be fit in that too. Like, have you ever seen some of these horror movies where, like, what I think it's called Basket Case, where, like, he's got, like, the conjoined twin. It's like a monster creature thing, right? So I don't know. Also, could that play into him not sleeping too? Like so his body, one of them's usually asleep. So, like, that's why he doesn't sleep. You know, and then, like, the other one, like, it's kind of also, it's also been hinted at, what was it, Hecuba and, what's his name, the pretty guy that's in the Grand Fleet, you know, with the sword and the rose. He has kind of like a dissociative personality disorder, too. So, like, that's not that crazy. But I just didn't like that one reason. I think if you take it, you have to, like, if you go, like, Occam's razor, like, the simplest answer, you know, is that, like, Luffy and Zoro were just referring to the rest of Blackbeard's crew.
Theory about God Valley and Shanks? Of course you are. Here it is. You probably know that God Valley incident happened 38 years ago. At first, I thought that there is nothing unusual with this, but then I googled Shanks' age, and you won't believe what I found. Shanks is exactly 39 years old, which means he was a baby during the God Valley incident. Now, we know that Shanks was a member of Roger's Pirates even as a young child, but how exactly did he join the crew? Here is when this theory comes in. I think Shanks is the son of Roger.
Oh. Sorry, that isn't throwing me off. I don't think I gave it... I think that one's a likelihood of happening, too, the Blackbeard thing. Something like that. Some on those lines of what I talked about. I don't know if this specific one... I'd say 7.
Rocks. Think about it. After they defeated Rocks, either Garp or Roger probably went to his ship to make sure that there is no one left. When they searched the ship, instead of finding pirates, they found a 1-year-old baby Shanks. Since it was a baby of a pirate, it's likely that it wouldn't be treated very nicely by the world government. Therefore, Garp entrusted baby to Roger. Another very interesting fact that's confirming this theory is that when Roger held Momonosuke and Hiyori, he said, "It's been a while since I last held a baby," hinting that there was a baby on the ship a long time ago. All right, let's talk a bit about the
Okay, I've heard this one too. This one also goes like, is he a Rocks or is he a Celestial Dragon? And a lot of people do speculate that this is where Roger found Shanks at some point, right? In the treasure chest or whatever, right? So it's not impossible. I think a 5 would be good. Would be I think I lean more towards the Celestial Dragon, and they may have still found him there. Um, Now I don't know why Garp wouldn't have took him then instead of Roger, unless Garp didn't know. But like I definitely get, and it also kind of plays on like maybe they did know because Garp knew that he would take care of Ace because he didn't blame Shanks for being Zebek's son if Zebek was his son. So it's definitely it's got some goods and bads for it, right? Like I don't necessarily know if there's any like bads, right? So I definitely can see that being a possibility.
First warlord Luffy came across, Sir Crocodile. In episode 443, during the Impel Down arc, it was revealed that Ivankov has a history with Crocodile. Their history was never dwelled upon, but Crocodile got really uncomfortable while talking with him. Based on this, and the fact that Ivankov was shown to be able to change a person's gender, the theory of Crocodile originally being a woman becomes a strong possibility. There are a few great details backing this theory. The first one is that Ivankov intentionally called Crocodile Croco Boy, which may just subtly imply that he wasn't always a boy. Another great detail is that during Roger's execution, Crocodile is the only character whose face wasn't shown. I actually went back to check this, and it's true. Doflamingo, Buggy, Mihawk, and Gecko Moria all have their faces shown. The only face that we don't see is Crocodile's. So why does Sanji have fire-based?
Okay. I've heard this theory for a long time. I like this one better than he's Luffy's mom, too, on top of that. It's definitely possible, right? I could definitely see it being possible. 6? I guess 6 is fair enough. There is something, though. I hope we get an answer to this someday, though, because, like, Oda's bad about this shit. Like, I think sometimes Oda's like, I got this. He might not even have had the idea. He just might have been like, oh, what if I hint that he knows him and he knows something that nobody knows? Then I'll figure out what it is. I guarantee you Oda's done that shit before. So, yeah, that's not it's crazy, but in the world of One Piece, it's not that crazy.
Powers. In the show, it was explained that he simply spins at high speeds and heats up his legs due to friction. But what if there's more to it than that? Well, my theory is that Sanji is actually genetically modified to be a Lunarian by his father. I know what you're thinking. How would that be possible?
Lunarian, that's the one I was trying to think of.
I also didn't believe it at first, but when I did some research, I found out two very important things that support this theory. You see, Sanji's father, Judge, was working with Dr. Vegapunk and Queen on some kind of off-the-legal weapon development. And there, he learned about lineage factor, which is basically a way to create life itself. He later used this to modify his children while Sora was still pregnant. So, what if he used some of the Lunarian DNA on Sanji during this time? Well, we know in the past, the world government captured King and experimented on him due to his Lunarian powers. So, it wouldn't be a stretch to say that Judge somehow obtained some of King's DNA that the world government had and used it on Sanji. I already hear you saying how Sanji's modifications were unsuccessful because he didn't lose his emotions and didn't get any special abilities, but that doesn't have to mean anything. As we saw in Reiju's case, a person can still retain emotions even after these modifications. Maybe Sanji's powers just took longer to manifest than usual. 5 more theories are...
Okay, well, also, like, this isn't that bad a theory. I think it's possible. I think it might be higher than what he's given it credit for. Because, also, Sanji was getting his ass kicked, and he should have been killed too, so it would explain a little bit of his toughness and durability, right? And maybe it was harder for Sanji because he still was more normally emotional, so it was hard for him to pull it out, you know? So that's not crazy, but I would think that would mean they all have some Lunarian DNA in them, because why would he just use it on one and not the others? So I could definitely see him having some. And I don't know if that means why he has the fire or not. I mean, why is Luffy able to create fire? It's a fucking anime, manga, whatever, you know?
left, and this next one about Monkey D. Dragon actually has a 9 out of 10 probability of happening. Even after 1,000 episodes, Oda still didn't fully reveal Dragon's exact powers and abilities. But don't worry, there are a few scenes in the anime that tell us exactly what they are. Ever since his first appearance in Logtown, Dragon was seemingly always accompanied by strong gusts of wind. This by itself doesn't prove much, but when you remember that Luffy was saved from being executed by random lightning from the sky, and that they managed to leave Logtown safely because strong winds pushed them away, it becomes much more clear that Dragon has weather-based abilities. Also, I thought I remembered the scene where Dragon is actually seen flying using wind, so I went back to check, and I was right! In episode 737, you can actually see Dragon levitating while carrying Sabo onto his ship. Alright, let's talk about one of the most mysterious characters.
Okay, that could be a 9 out of 10. Like, I don't know, like, because there used to be, I remember originally he was going to be like the wind Logia or air Logia. Maybe he has like the storm power fruit, or like weather control, like Storm from X-Men. Any of those kind of, that's good, and it's definitely been something he's hinted at. Nothing's confirmed though. So yeah, I can, that's fine. 9 out of 10 on that's fine, because I think he's got to have some sort of control over like that. And I would say more than wind, because yeah, the lightning and the rain, yeah. So that sounds good to me.
Characters in the entire show.
Yeah, sure. It's actually fine.
And the huge secret he may be hiding. Of course, we are talking about Shanks and the theory that he is actually a celestial dragon. There are actually 2 big hints why this may be true. Firstly, in chapter 580, when Shanks arrived at Marineford, he managed to convince Sengoku to stop the war and give him the bodies of Whitebeard and Ace in order to prepare a proper burial. It's already really weird why Sengoku would listen to a dangerous pirate like Shanks, but what's even more interesting are the exact words he said. "Only because it's you, red-haired, I'll allow it." It's really out of character for Sengoku to do something like this, no matter how powerful Shanks may be. The second big hint happened in chapter 907, when Shanks entered Marioa in order to talk with 5 elders. It's absolutely unthinkable.
Is that how you say it? I always kept saying Marijoa, and he's saying Marioa.
That any pirate would ever be allowed to enter that place, especially the one of the most wanted criminals in the world. One of the elders even said almost identical words as Sengoku. "Only because it's you, we made time to talk." While we are talking about Shanks, there is one.
Okay, that would also make the, maybe that was why he gave the Zebix one lower, because he thinks this one has better chance. It definitely, and it's been hinted, there's something there about, and then like Fairland or something, the family. So yeah, because originally I thought it was mainly because of that, but like there's definitely a shot. I could say that being a 6 or a 7.
One more really interesting theory about him. You all know that Shanks was the one who initially motivated Luffy to become a pirate. He even sacrificed his arm and said that he bet it on the new age. Well, since he was the reason why Luffy went to the sea, don't you think it would be fitting if he was also his last obstacle and one in the possession of the Last Road Poneglyph? I think that it's highly possible that right before Roger disbanded his pirate crew, he told Shanks to hide the last Poneglyph and asked him to guard.
Okay, how the fuck did little baby Shanks hide the Poneglyph? That's my first issue with this.
It so it would not fall into the wrong hands. Some years later, after Shanks heard Luffy say the same words Roger once said, Shanks finally found the person he was looking for, and he bet his arm that Luffy will become a pirate worthy of One Piece. Before we cover the...
Okay, that's not crazy. Like, they're probably gonna have to fight it sometime. I just don't like the fact that Shanks is like evil mastermind, or is gonna, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or is using Luffy. There's a theory like that. Like, that's fine. 5's fine on that one.
Wildest theory on this list, let's first cover this very interesting theory about Fujitora and Akainu. The two didn't have a lot of conversation.
Is it Akainu? I always said Akiinu. Akainu?
With each other throughout the show, but there was one conversation in chapter 712 that revealed one very interesting fact. During this conversation, Fujitora calls Akainu Sakasan, which is informal and not really expected since Akainu holds the highest rank of Fleet Admiral. Because of this, a lot of people, myself included, think that this is probably suggesting that the two are related to each other, most likely being brothers. While I was
I've not heard this one.
doing research for this video, I stumbled upon a One Piece data book, and in there, it was written that the two admirals seem to know each other pretty well, which further proves this theory. And the final thing is that after the incident in Dressrosa, the only punishment Akainu gave Fujitora was not to return to any marine base until he captured Luffy and Law. I'm pretty sure that if any other admiral embarrassed the world government like that, there would be a much stricter punishment. Alright, so, did you ever...
Okay. I've not heard that one, but like, he made some good points. Brothers, maybe they're just old friends or something, or they could be relations. That's a fair point. I think that's a pretty good one for being crazy theory out there.
Ever notice the left eye symbolism throughout the entire show? Take these manga volumes, for example. They all feature a character with a closed left eye. Also, a lot of characters in the show have some kind of marking on their left eyes. This includes Luffy, Garp, Dragon.
Maybe Oda is just a big fan of Left Eye from TLC. Is she the one that died? I can't remember. Was it her or Chili? I don't remember.
Zoro, Shanks, Sabo, and Kid. A lot of people say that all of this probably means nothing, but I don't think that's true. Me and a bunch of other fans actually think that this solves one of the biggest mysteries in the entire One Piece. Okay, hear me out. Do you remember the Skypiea and Jaya arcs where it was revealed that...
Yeah, I've heard some crazy shit about this too. It's a little modified from the one I heard, but we'll see how it goes.
both islands were one island in the past? Well, if you look closely, you'll notice that Jaya has a huge hole where the left eye of the skull is supposed to be. Due to everything we previously mentioned, this also can't be a coincidence, and a lot of fans believe that Jaya's missing left eye is actually Laugh Tale. This would also make sense considering that Roger's treasure is called One Piece, and Laugh Tale may exactly be one piece Jaya is missing. If you want to learn more about this theory, Ohara made a great video on it a while back, so make sure to check out
I think I watched that video. I think that's where I heard about that.
his video for a detailed explanation.
I don't know, like, I heard that, and it's got some crazy shit in it, but like, I don't know though. What, like, why would Laugh Tale, whatever the fuck, why would it have been in like Paradise and not the New World? And because it's got to be in the New World now. Did they do something where they moved it then? I don't know. Content polar ores, all kinds of shit, right? That's a big hint about a lot of shit too. You think about that. Okay, that was that one.